The commissioner of the West Coast Conference, Lynn Holzman, who knows how to score the basketball in her own right. Lynn, nice to have you back in Vegas in October.
I know. I get to see you guys twice this year.
Yes, you do.
What a privilege for both of us.
I don't know if I should apologize or say you're welcome for that.
Well, jury's still out. We'll see.
Why did you feel like this year was the day to make it a two-day adventure for West Coast Conference basketball with the media gathering?
Well, there's, I would say, several factors that contributed to us bringing our tip-off event here to Vegas. The first is it's the 10th anniversary of the West Coast Conference Men's and Women's Basketball Championships being here in Vegas at the Orleans Arena. So obviously that being a monumental anniversary, we wanted to make sure that as we, throughout the year here, as we lead up to that awesome event, that we're doing everything to get people pumped for it, more than we even normally would. The Las Vegas community has been a tremendous supporter, as you all know. Over the past 5 years, when we were doing our tip-off event down at Spectrum Studios in LA, which is one of our great regional sport network partners, you know, it was time for a refresh, frankly. I think it was. I think that as we our programs continue to get better, both on the men's and women's side, and we have the media attention, and as we work with our schools to gather content so we can promote our programs throughout the year and our student-athlete stories, we needed to refresh the event. We needed to allow our coaches and our student-athletes to be featured in a different way. The 10th anniversary gave us a great opportunity to capitalize that coming to Vegas, and the Orleans being a great partner is taking care of us. We were able to, new logo, get the court down, everything, and all indication is it's going to be an awesome day too.
What can we expect today in Basketball Media Day #2? Yesterday was #1. And how'd it go yesterday?
Yeah, yesterday we, as you know, and you guys were broadcasting yesterday with the women here. We heard a lot of great feedback from our coaches and our student athletes. You know, separating the men and the women. You know, you could look at it many different ways, but yesterday what we heard from the women is that they felt more special, if you will, because we spent time with them the whole day, and through social media and others, we were featuring and highlighting our women's programs. Today, similarly on the men's side, we're able to capitalize on what we've done in the past and really get those stories out there, and as I said, gather content we're able to use throughout the year. So today, with the media presence that we have, both national, regional, we have individuals that are going to be the talking heads as we broadcast our games that are here, that they have a chance to sit down and one-on-one get to talk to our coaches and talk about where their programs are at, the student athletes, and that's just going to help us throughout the season.
West Coast Conference Basketball Media Day, day #2. We are talking with West Coast Conference Commissioner Lynn Holzman. I'm going to ask you a general question, and you can go any direction you want with it, but if you had to pinpoint one thing that's happening right now in the West Coast Conference that has you the most excited, what is it right now?
I think what I'm most excited about right now in the West Coast Conference is that we've been working over the last couple years, and we're getting to this place where we are going to, I think our programs are going to absolutely explode and really take a big step forward. So I'll just talk specifically about men's basketball, because this is the case, I think, throughout many of our sport programs. It starts with leadership at the top. And our presidents, as they have worked with our athletic directors in some of our programs that were stagnant or took some steps back, you know, 5, 6 years ago, there's either been leadership changes or there's been a recommitment, if you will, to invest in our men's basketball programs. And we're seeing that with some of the strides that programs like Santa Clara and San Francisco made last year. And then we have our Gonzaga, St. Mary's, and BYU. So if this year we're able to show that we've made a big stride in being legitimately five programs deep, and we're able to continue to build on that over the course of the next couple of years, that further legitimizes our conference, that we have competitive parity, and that we will continue to solidify ourselves as a multi-bid league for the NCAA championship, and that our programs will be higher seeded and they're going to go further. So the combination of those things excites me, because these aren't things that happen overnight, but we've seen progress. We're seeing this progress taking place, and we cannot go backwards on it. And then the other programs, the other 5 programs or whatever, they're getting there. They're just a few more steps behind.
And you want everybody to come up, but it's nice to have a team that goes to the national championship game, goes to the Final Four. Yeah. What was the biggest benefit of having Gonzaga go that far last year?
I don't think it's a surprise to anyone. I mean, you go to the Final Four, the championship game, and but for a few ways the ball bounced or a few things that happened in the game, we'd be sitting here talking about a national championship team. Their run was phenomenal. St. Mary's also, the run they had this year and how they've positioned their program for this upcoming season. But the success last year in those programs, we had 2 teams in the top 25 the entire year. So we got to make sure that storyline continues. And we have on the brink, as I just said, these other programs. So we have to capitalize on that. Was a storyline, but you can't rest on your laurels by any means. Going into this season, you have Gonzaga and St. Mary's again that are, depending on what poll you look at, but are both ranked in the top 25. So how do you, for us, it's, capitalizing and continuing to talk about what West Coast Conference men's basketball is all about, and the fact that we had this program that went that far in the championship, in the tournament itself. But you can't keep talking about the past. We got to really talk about the programs now. But what does it do when we're talking to the committee about getting our teams into the tournament? It's a different conversation when they know that you have this team that went that far. Oh, and by the way, we have this other team in the top 25, and Gonzaga, as they're playing a BYU, and if they happen to lose that game against BYU,
it's a tradition last 3, I guess.
or the other, or the closeness of the other games, the competitiveness, it, as I said, just legitimizes the conference, and it allows us to really have different conversations, talk to the media differently, talk to the committee, the selection committee differently, and the storyline is different. So, but you got to back it up.
Volleyball, soccer, cross country, all in full swing right now across the West Coast Conference. Pepperdine ranked number 13. They'll be on BYUtv tonight. BYU women's volleyball, a top 10 team. San Diego, a top 20 team on the women's volleyball side. BYU men's cross country just jumped up to number 2.
Number 2, yep.
What's the overall status of exposure for sports outside of basketball for the West Coast Conference right now?
I mean, with all those successes, the status is great because at the beginning of the fall season this year, across many of our sports, we had multiple teams ranked in the top 25. As happens and why we play the games, there's some that have performed better, and there's some that have performed a little, maybe not as well as we all expected, and there's a lot of factors for that, injuries and otherwise. But where we sit right now with those programs are soccer's, both men's and women's soccer, knowing BYU doesn't have men's soccer, but still our men's and women's soccer's, our men's and women's cross countries, our women's volleyball. We have teams ranked throughout all of those, and so as we are looking for not just getting teams and more than one team in those sports into the NCAA tournaments, it's that we want a legitimate opportunity to compete for national titles. So that's the big next step. Across what I love about the West Coast Conference is that, initially for a college sport fan, it may be about men's basketball, but we're able to, then you can start talking about the success that we have across all of our other sports, all the way to our softball and baseball as well in the spring. We have an awesome story here. And if someone can point out to me another non-autonomy, if you will, non-Big Five conference that has this type of success across all of their sports and the depth consistently year after year, show me.
Yeah, it is.
So no one compares. This is one of the best, you're saying, if not the best?
We are one of the best. And our student athletes.
We're the best.
We are the best.
There we go.
We're the best. And our student athletes perform in the classroom and they graduate.
Okay.
I mean, it's what the West Coast Conference is about. I mean, it's what's everything right about college sports.
And we look forward to the addition of football here in the next couple of years.
So
San Diego and BYU by themselves.
Yeah, so I hear.
A 2-team conference, yes. Lynn, it's great to talk to you.
Thank you.
Thanks for having us in Las Vegas.
Thanks a lot.
Always good to have the commish.
Absolutely it is.
Exactly.
Bringing it. We're the best, okay?
We are the best.
Clip that off. Send it out to the masses.
Confidence.
I love it.